we have been in HIV care in this institution for a long time. We hope that this legacy will continue. Is it true? So I start my deliberation that I have been asked to talk on evaluation of a newly diagnosed HIV patient, the first encounter. But what I have decided, I will start a little behind. So Pope will permit me to start the story a little ahead, behind. So this is how I plan my talk. We'll be starting with something and then we'll be discussing where you have the first encounter, what you ask, what you look for, and what you test. I start with a patient I saw only yesterday in the wards when I went to the wards. He was admitted with severe respiratory distress. He was unable to walk and he was admitted yesterday. And when I went to the round, I saw this person from behind. This is I'm not sure whether you are seeing this properly, but if you look carefully, you can see there are some scars. Can you see that? You cannot. Hey, right to the So, can you see the scars? I'm not sure whether you can see there are some scars on the back, and also there is a fundal mark of Salicyltinian patient here. So why I'm showing this? The patient came with a severe respiratory distress with shortness of breath, and he has been diagnosed with heart failure. When I asked her, his wife was standing beside him. He told that when she had her first baby 8 years ago, at that time this person had heart exhaustion. And he consulted the dermatologist. At that time he was around 23, 24 years of age. Young person that became heart exhausted. He was seen by dermatologist. He was advised appropriate treatment, but unfortunately the window for diagnosing HIV possibly it was not at that point of time, because you know that heart exhaustion in a young adult can be a marker of underlying immunosuppression. So 8 years back, the disease could have been diagnosed, and he has come up with the ejection fraction of only 32%. All advanced complications of HIV. So this is where I wanted to start. So I prepared my talk depending on what we do see in our hospital practice. So unfortunately, I don't see in our India. I expected someone to be there. Anyway, no issue. We get patients in the production clinic. Our OPD is tropical medicine, hematology, diabetes, doc center, ICTC. And even many of us who are in private practice can see patients besides this hospital setting also. I've got everyone in mind. So this is a patient who was admitted in a hospital, 35-year-old person with a irregular fever, loss of weight, 10 kg in 6 months. He weighs now around 40 kg. She has lost more than 10% of body weight. Recurrent painful ulcers in the mouth, has pallor, oral candidiasis, multiple cervical lymph nodes, moderate hepatosplenomegaly. Baseline investigation hemoglobin is 7.3, total WBC count 2700. Red blood count is 70,000. So this is a man in front of you. Small question to the JRS. So what will be the differentials? Prolonged irregular fever, weight loss, anemia, oral candidiasis, lymphadenopathy, and hepatosplenomegaly. What are the differentials you keep in mind? Yes? Sorry? Extra pulmonary tuberculosis. Where? Anything else? Lymphoma. Okay. Anything else? Sorry? Advanced stage of Asia. Why the lymphadenopathy hepatosplenomegaly? Okay, you have raised very important causes. So yes, TB and also it can be fungal infection. So it can be that. It can be lymphoma, very well said. It can be leukemia also, right? And well, there may be other ones we have to think about. Okay. So my next question to someone who is not in the tropical medicine department: does this person need test for HIV? Please, some non-tropical medicine PG, would you like to answer? I think pharma could have there. do you want this patient to be tested for HIV? Does he need HIV test? Try to apply a reasoning because we have history, clinical findings, lab investigations. Anyone? Does he need an HIV test? You are yes, you are not, so he needs HIV test. Why? Because we have in the history, we have heard that we have so many things. There's irregular fever, significant weight loss, more than 10% body weight loss, oral candidiasis, multiple cervical lymphadenopathy, hypersplenomegaly, and pan-side features of pancytopenia. So definitely it needs a test. So then who needs a test? All of us need to keep in mind. We know just a recap of what we do. Of course, people who are having high risk behavior, STIs, unusual skin rashes. And again, I'm missing the gamma people anyway. So, Dr. Sharkar is here and he's a very experienced person. He's been going up each other for a long time. He knows very well that herpes zoster in young adult or multi-dermatal herpes zoster, extensive tinea, psoriasis, molluscum, H. they will suggest HIV testing. In medicine, unexplained weight loss, fever, diarrhea, and of course the red line is TB. So TB wherever, we know that he or she needs to be tested for HIV. Unexplained anemia, respiratory, cardiac, renal disease, like this person he has a cardiomyopathy. Unexplained neurological ocular problems will be showing sign. Antenatal mothers, we know this is in the program. Partners or spouse who have known to be HIV disease infected, and conditions with people who did frequent blood or blood product transfusions like thalassemia and hemophilia dialysis. And Kalpana madam is there, so I'm not touching this item. Adult physicians, so she will tell us children who are failure to try with recurrent infections or children are known to the positive mothers, they also need infection. Kalpana madam will tell us later on about those things. We know there are various issues, ethical issues, legal issues, confidentiality. I'm not going to that, and also we did a, we refer them to the ICPC where discussion the pre-test and post-test counseling is done, and also test consent and sharing of result is also another information. This slide is known to all of us, but I would like to touch this upon this once again. The same Anthony Fauci has now known to the HIV field. Well, you can see that when we have the infection, the viral load initially goes very high, and the CD4 count they go drops, and they there's primary infection, and the virus disseminates to all the organs of the body, and then gradually the system learns to know with the virus, so the viral load goes down. The pink one is the viral load, and gradually over a period of 5, 6, 7 years it goes up. And the CD4 cells, the blue ones, they go down initially, then make a peak again, and gradually they drop, and at some point of time, because for a long time, maybe 2, 5, 6, 7 years, the patient is asymptomatic. And so unless we have the history find that there is some indication of suspicion, we are not going to test, and after that person becomes symptomatic. Well, few of the manifestations we have been seeing, this you all know, this is candidiasis. This is again another form of candidiasis, hyperplastic candidiasis. Oral hair erythroplasia we don't see very often. This patient came with ulcer in the lateral border of the tongue, and it was found to have a histoplasmosis, and this was the person had HIV infection. Herpes zoster, severe herpes zoster, you can see with deforming appearance. Severe molluscum contagiosum, molluscum again. Ulcers in the face and mouth, fever, and this person was diagnosed with histoplasmosis. Scar of herpes zoster, extensive tinea involving the trunk as well as the nails. Pruritic papular dermatosis, same thing. Skin rash due to dark hypersensitivity in a person with HIV infection. Interesting patient, you can see anesthetic skin lesions in the forearm and the back following starting antitubercular therapy in a person with HIV infection. Biopsy was done, it revealed epithelioid granuloma, so it was therefore a reaction in a HIV infected person on antitubercular drug. Another interesting lady, she came to us with fever and ulcers on both sides of the mouth, and she had been diagnosed with HIV infection, blood transfusion occurred. We thought this is herpes simplex, so we gave anti-herpes simplex therapy acyclovir. And this was the chest. You can see there are lesions in the chest also. Interesting, the ulcers on the right side, they healed with the acyclovir, but the left side ulcers was persisting. We took a biopsy from histoplasma. So she had cutaneous as well lung involvement as well as the abdomen involvement. Disseminated histoplasmosis. Herpes simplex, ulcerative herpes simplex, which is with 2, molluscum, secondary syphilis. You can see the Steinker as well as the lesions on the feet and the hands. Some pulmonary manifestations, pneumonia, you can see the diplococci, tuberculosis, patient presented with fever, shortness of breath, and after 3 weeks of treatment, he improved a lot. He was not chest X-ray improved. You know, this is PCP, one of the acute emergencies. Another patient with PCP, you can see the CT chest. This X-ray was reported as normal. The patient was having fever, and we could find there is a mediastinal lymphadenopathy. So please take care to look at the mediastinum. This is often missed. This was reported as normal. CT scan showing necrotic lymph nodes in the mediastinum. This is pleural pericardial diffusion. Some may present with PUO. You can get abdominal lymphadenopathy, ascites. You may get abscesses in the liver. This patient has plenty of AFB, lot of AFB in the liver abscess. Gastrointestinal manifestations may be there. You can get esophageal candidiasis, CMV esophagitis, linear ulcers, herpes simplex esophagitis where you have broad-based broader ulcers. Diarrhea is a common manifestation and may be due to multiple pathogens and persistent difficult to treat diarrheas. Intestinal tuberculosis, you can see the constriction of the gut. Neurological manifestations you can get in the form of, all of you know this is cryptococcal meningitis, a beautiful looking cryptococca in the CSF. Tuberculoma of brain, multiple spacofocal lesions, toxoplasmosis, HIV encephalopathy. This is a 45-year man. You can see the brain atrophy. Progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy. You can see the white matter lesions. This is another MRI of a progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy. Infarct in a 33-year-old man. This was cryptococcal infarct. Multiple tubercular, post-tubercular infarcts. And so spinal abscess. And this is an interesting patient. He had, she had CMV retinitis as well as leprosy, from which biopsy revealed granuloma. So this lady had CMV retinitis as well as tubercular leprosy. We talk about staging, where all of us know that because staging helps in managing the patient. Stage 1 is asymptomatic or persistent generalized lymphadenopathy. Stage 2 is minor mucocutaneous manifestations, including herpes zoster. Stage 3 is, we showed the photographs, oral candidiasis, oral leukoplakia, pulmonary tuberculosis, and recurrent bacterial pneumonia. Stage 4, the most advanced disease, extrapulmonary tuberculosis, PCP, toxoplasmosis, cryptococcal meningitis, CMV retinitis, esophageal candidiasis, and of course, leishmaniasis, visceral leishmaniasis. So what do you do? As in any branch of medicine, take the detailed history chronology. That's the most important clue. Also assess for any comorbidity, past history of genital ulcer, discharge, tuberculosis, very, very important, herpes zoster. History of unsafe sex, transmission, drugs. Please be very sensitive while taking this. Don't ask very hard because people have come to you, they have come to an environment where everything is new to them. So please use appropriate language, try to be very friendly with them. So this is very, very important. Unless you are doing that, you will not go to the this. And any treatment history. Many of them might have been treated in the past for HIV also, so please take that history. Do the thorough examination, including the genitalia. This is very, very, don't forget the genitalia, because genitalia will give you clues. Unless you do that, don't be very shy. You can take help from an attendant of the same sex, but don't be very shy. Please examine the genitals, start for the opportunity infections and neoplasm if any, and comorbidity, hypertension, diabetes, anything. Chronic kidney disease. Initial workup, all the routine tests, including VDRL, hepatitis B and C, need to check for that. IgG, antitoxoplasma antibody, for the access. Serum cryptococcal antigen, if the CD4 is less than 100, you should be taking. I understand the program is trying to do that. 1-2 test, chest X-ray, USG abdomen, depending on symptomatology. CD4 count is done here free of cost. Viral load testing is not done routinely at the first, but I guess if possible, viral load testing with initial resistance testing may help to know already some resistance to the virus, which will help in our planning. Because we will be telling on the plan antiretroviral and any additional tests that need to be required. So workup will be as per the symptoms and signs. If it's asymptomatic, spend minimum time and try to start the year on that day. Because the goal will be telling on that. PO, respiratory symptoms, gastrointestinal systems, neurological symptoms, neurological systems, they need some time to assess the patient, the baseline state of the patient. And discuss about the nature of the illness. Don't make car because this is the illness which is going to be the person for his lifetime. So please try to feel that, try to make him understand the natural history of the disease, what is expected. Many of them will ask, natural questions from please try to address it at to a capacity. Of course, we have counselors to do that, but the doctors are the first counselors. The impression starts with you. Lifestyle modification, their diet, great questions, assistant the practice networks, partners, many of them are partners. You know that we do partners who have partners. Be very sensible and talking to them. And of course, we need to make tell them about the treatment facilities. The ARP is available in our hospital. Many government centers, ARP centers are there. Available free of cost. And when to start ARP, Dr. Goel is telling us that initially in 2020 it was started in all adults with HIV preference for those who have received for 15 days. And now the call is rapid initiation of ARP. So try to do a workup very rapidly. If the person is asymptomatic, there is no contraindication. Try to start ARP that day. Otherwise, people who are coming with symptoms, try to assess them, fast track them to assess, stabilize them, and start antiretroviral therapy. So I will end by saying that the life has a long journey, and we are here to show them more life. So please be careful, be sensible. Thank you.
So there is time for discussion. Hello. So now we also look for discussion, and I request my PGT friends to ask a question. Who wants to make a clarification? Yes. Okay. Any question? Any interaction with Professor Saha? Evaluation of HIV. First day you will form the location. There is a list of tests Professor has shown. And if you don't be correct, yes.